What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here with a post-season live stream for you guys. Spurs are staying in the Premier League and everyone can just breathe a little. Breathe easy tonight. Breathe easy last night because we only gone and done it. We only gone and done it. Look, there's a lot to be said about what happened yesterday, what's happened all season, what's going to happen this summer, and we're going to get into it all in this live stream for you guys. This is the definition of an action-packed live stream. We've got all the usual match day stuff. We're going to get through that bloody Charrington statement as well, and we've got a hefty Tottenham update, a lot of transfers to talk about as well.
It's going to be a busy summer, I think.
Absolutely.
Judging by what Deserby say.
It has to be a busy summer. Has to be a busy summer. Nothing else is acceptable, to be honest, but we'll get into all of that. Let's start off talking about yesterday. Spurs 1, Everton 0. Spurs have confirmed their Premier League status for next season. And like I said before, we can just breathe a little bit now. We can just breathe, you know.
Made us sweat a bit.
A bit. They made us sweat a bit, some more than others.
Maybe not just because of the heat.
Yeah.
But
I was definitely sweating yesterday, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of the game, we played well. We actually turned up. We on the front foot pretty much from the first minute. And I think it was actually a fairly comfortable game in terms of actually, if you just take everything surrounding the situation and everything, in terms of it was a pretty comfortable 1-0 win by all things considered. But I don't know how it felt in the ground, but definitely when West Ham were hearing news that they took the lead and they know we're only 1-0 up and we're maybe a couple of stupid moments from, disaster, it did start to get a bit tetchy. And I did think that the team started to get a bit tetchy. But in terms of just quickly on the lineup, we got it spot on. We said Jed Spence, right wing. He did do that. Thought he did all right.
Apparently it was because Jed Spence went into his office and says, I want to play.
That's what he said.
And he put his hat into the ring. And
I think he saw more and he's like, please, I need to play. I need to play. Gaffer, it's the right thing to do. I care about this club. I really want to play. I'm here available if you need me. So I think that was look, it was the right decision to put Jed in. And I think, obviously, we'll get into individuals a little bit later on, but I thought he did his job. I thought from the early on, we really went at Everton. We were creating loads of chances. Again, mostly from corners, you would say. That was when most of our good joy was coming. But we were on top of them. Everton were having very, very little in our half. Very similar to a lot of our other games. Again, probably similar in this game to other games. The final third actions were letting us down yet again. But just the sheer number of them. I think in the first half we had 14 shots or something. We were really just, not stopping until we got that goal. But as half-time was approaching, there was a little bit of me we're playing well, but we just haven't scored. And, could this game turn at any moment? That was the worry.
Yeah, I felt like we were heavily dominant for the first 20, 25 minutes. And then there was that kind of lull period in the game. And I was saying to Danny, who was sitting next to me, in those first 20 minutes, we got to score in this period because, we saw it against Leeds. We didn't score in that period where we were on top in the first half. And obviously what happened. We didn't win the game. So I was feeling like maybe something similar could happen. Everton was starting to creep back into the game a little bit. But then we got the goal. We got the goal kind of after that initial kind of lull period, and we ended the half really strongly.
Yeah, and we did have numerous chances, didn't we? Danso had a good chance. He should have done better. Paulinho had one at the back post. Gallagher had a shot into the side netting, which was a presentable opportunity. So I thought Tell was also giving O'Brien the runaround in the opening exchanges.
Yeah, there are a couple of moments. I mean, I thought it was
booked, and he was lucky. He could have been sent off.
Could have been sent off. I thought, there were a couple of nice moments from Tell, but I still want to see more from him, to be honest.
I understand that, but you got to credit him. I thought he was putting O'Brien under real pressure. Turned him a couple of times. He did that Sonny move where he let the ball roll across his body and then go down the line, and he burnt him a couple of times.
It's the same though, as every week. It looks like in the forward line, if anything's going to happen, it's probably going to come through Tell, but still, nothing is kind of happening.
Yeah, look, he needs to work on a lot of things, but I thought he did all right in that first. I thought he was one of our better players. I thought Rishi was holding the ball up a lot better than he usually does as well. Obviously, he was running himself into the ground. He went off after 60 minutes, I think, wasn't it, or 65. I thought the key thing was in the middle, though, we were just so dominant. Bentancur, Paulinho, Gallagher were just snuffing out anything Everton had. I thought they had Irigbunam, Garner, and Dewsbury Hall, and they were really struggling to impact the game. I thought our midfield three were just on them like a rash every single time.
Paulinho, man.
Yeah, Paulinho.
Paulinho was a big difference in the game yesterday. I thought he was my man of the match yesterday, João Paulinho, not just for the goal, but just for the way that he played, so aggressive, not too bad on the ball as well. I thought Paulinho had a fantastic game yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't give a second to any of those Everton players to breathe. And I credit him so much. And, you know, this guy, João Paulinho, he's scored 2 of our most important goals this season. The goal against Wolves, the goal against Everton. You know, we might not stay up if we don't score those goals. So this guy has had a direct impact to us staying up. He has been fantastic. And for me, after it's all said and done, he's probably been our player of the season. He's provided the 2 both pivotal moments in our season. And on top of that, he's also scored other important goals to go with it as well. So I can't credit João Paulinho enough. And yeah, look, there's always going to be the flaws in his game that everyone talks about, but I think he offers us, like I've said so many times, he offers us something that no other player offers us. You know, he's just a sheer workhorse. He's got a great mentality about him. He pops up with important goals. We got to sign this guy up. I'm telling you, we got to sign him up.
Well, De Zerbi loves him. Look, for me, I'm still conflicted on whether we should sign him up, but De Zerbi seems to want him. He seems to want him around the dressing room. So if that's the case, I'm happy for it. I think the flaws in his game are stark, and for me,
the strengths of his game are as well.
The strengths of his game are some of the, you know, he's one of the best tacklers in the league. That's the truth. And in terms of that side of the game, he is fantastic. So it's all about whether you can cover his flaws or not. I think this season we just haven't been able to do that on enough occasions. But De Zerbi's a very smart guy. He's a very smart manager. If he can set the team up, that means that we don't need Paulinho as much on the ball as maybe we've been using him throughout the season, then he's worth having around. Whether I want him as our starting 6, I just don't know. I'm very conflicted on that, because I feel like sometimes there is too much of a cost in terms of, you know, if he has the ball too much and he can't progress the ball enough, and when players are pressing him, he can struggle. But then he did come up with 2 massive moments. I think he's definitely a positive influence in the dressing room. He's an absolute machine when it comes to how that aggression he comes up with, and his mentality on a pitch. I think all those are great things. So,
but I think we need to forget about this, starting that. Like, to be part of the squad, he's a major asset to have, in my opinion. And there'll be games where you probably don't want him starting. There'll be games where you want him starting. We need players like that in the team, where they could just be such an asset to the squad as a whole. Like, I really don't think we should look at it and be like, do we want him as our starting 6? Do we want him part of the squad, is the way you want to look at it, in my opinion.
Yeah, but we have, as we've said, look, we'll get into the squad later, but there are some tough decisions to make. He also said he wants to keep Bentancur and Gallagher around, so they're not going anywhere. So that leaves some tough decisions, which we'll get into. But his goal wasn't the prettiest goal, was it? But they all count, don't they? Just about over the line.
I would have taken it off bloody Pickford's backside for all I care. You know what I mean? Like, we just needed a goal desperately at that moment in time, and he's delivered once again.
And you saw how much it meant to the players. You know, they celebrated like it was a, you know, title-winning goal or something. You know, they celebrated massively on the sidelines. It was a massive outpour of emotion. I think they realised, with how the game was going, how massive that moment was. You know, how much we were keeping Everton at bay, and the likelihood they were going to be able to turn it around was getting smaller and smaller as time went on. So that goal obviously did end up to be the difference, and it was a massive goal. And I also got the feeling once we got that goal, we kind of like, similar in like the Europa League, it was like we got that goal and it's like, okay, we keep this now. We're letting this slip.
Yeah.
We have the lead, and by hook or by crook, we are not conceding in that second half.
Everyone in the second half around me was like, all right, so De Zerbi's Europa Leaguing it.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it
That's pretty much what everyone was saying, and I think that's the way it panned out. And then he ended up bringing on Dragoshin, and even before he brought out on Dragoshin, everyone was just behind the ball, defending for their lives. I can't credit the likes of Mickey van der Ven, Kevin Danso, and Pedro Porro enough. I think those 3 players were just fantastic. Pedro Porro has been so important in this run, and so same as Mickey van der Ven. The mentality on these 2 guys, like Pedro Porro, it seems like he's gone to war every single game under De Zerbi. The same with Mickey as well. Like, Mickey has come on. If you compare Mickey now to what he was like under Tudor and maybe the back end of the Thomas Frank days, it's night and day, isn't it? He's a completely refreshed man. He's a different man, and you could see he's playing with a smile on his face, and he's loving life right now.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need him to say it, but he did say it after the game. He was in an interview. And he said, when De Zerbi came in, everyone could see I wasn't in the best mood. I wasn't in the best way. And obviously we saw that with his performances, but he's really turned him around. He's really gotten the best out of him. He's gotten that belief back in him. And we're seeing the best Mickey van de Ven. Obviously he's made him feel 10 feet tall, hasn't he, with some of the words he's been saying, recently, best left centre-back in the league, all that kind of stuff. And he's playing like it at the moment. When he's in this kind of form, there is very few players, if any, who are better than him as a centre-back when he's playing as well as he is right now. So I definitely credit De Zerbi massively with the turning around of Mickey van de Ven. I think he's been absolutely exceptional. Danso as well has done a brilliant job. Look, the whole back line, I think the way De Zerbi has got us playing, I think it's just given belief back into everyone. And I know we maybe went a bit pragmatic in the second half yesterday, but in general, we've just defended less because we've been better on the ball. And that has just been a lesson for us this season, and on how we can influence defensively, not just by defending. And I think Van de Ven's been a massive beneficiary of that.
I think what it's come down to is the two players that have been the real difference makers for us, Paulinho and Kinski. These two guys, that save from Kinski right at the end, if that goes 1-1, there was still time for Everton to get that winner. So it was an unbelievable save, full body stretched, one-handed. I mean, how many top saves has this guy made? Like, you look at it now with Kinski, you got the save at the end of Wolves. You've got, I think he made a couple of top saves against Leeds, and now this save here against Everton. The only one thing that you can talk about Kinski, and it's harsh to even talk about it, is that goal from Enzo Fernandez against Chelsea. Everything else, he's been faultless. He's been perfect in these last 7 games. So for me, I'll keep him on as number 1 next season. I think this guy has been brilliant. Yesterday earned his money once again. You just don't have that panic when he's on the ball like you have with Vicario. I can't sing his praise high enough, Kinski. He is a massive part of why we're still in this division. Yeah,
and there was also a few corners he had to come for, didn't he? And he had to just get slight touches to avoid Everton, making sure they didn't get anything from it. I thought he had another really strong game. What I would say about the save is it was a good save, don't get me wrong, and it was a massive moment, 98th minute, and he got enough on it to put it over the bar. Having watched it again, I did think it looked a bit weird because I thought the shot was quite central, and he ended up doing a full dive. I was like, why did it end up like that? So I looked back in it, and I actually noticed something about Kinski's positioning in that moment. And what happened was George, he's on the ball, he cuts inside, and Kinski's kind of standing in the right position, a little bit central, but to the right. And then for some reason, when George takes his extra touch to cut inside to line up the shot, Kinski then moves to his right that little bit more, which leaves a lot of space on the far post to score from, which meant I think if Kinski would have kept his original position, actually it would have been a pretty simple save. But for some reason, he moved slightly to his right, which left a bigger gap, which meant even though the ball was central, he ended up being at full stretch to save the ball. So I thought that was a little bit odd. Then maybe if that goes in, he's thinking, I probably got that positioning wrong. So he maybe got a bit lucky with that. But he did make the save. He tipped it over the bar. It was a massive moment. And obviously, he has been brilliant throughout his time, ever since he's come in for the last 7 games. And to do that with everything he's been through this season is phenomenal from him. And I'm so proud of him. And I think he definitely... His name is in the hat to be number 1 next season. Whether we do it or not, I'm still not 100% sure whether we will make him a number 1. But I think he definitely... has given himself a shot, whereas his Tottenham career looked dead at one point. And look, I think the latest rumours we've seen is maybe he could be looking to move, but we'll have to get into that later. But I'm willing to give it a go if De Zerbi chooses that. I've got a feeling we're going to sign a keeper, and we're going to sign one with a bit more experience. But he's done himself the world of good. He's done himself proud, and he's shown as well that you write your own story. People are writing stories for him. People are saying, oh, his career's over. Look how psychologically it's going to affect him. He got taken off against Atletico. It's going to kill him that moment. But he didn't let it. He didn't let it get to him. He didn't let it kill him. He didn't let it... At the end of the day, he told his own story, and the narrative of the season is he saved us from relegation, and everyone's forgotten about Atletico.
It's true. I mean, the job that De Zerbi has done since coming in here, we hadn't won in 4 or 5 months or 4 months, whatever it was. To get these 3 wins and a couple of points in there as well for draws, it's just phenomenal, isn't it? You look at the players and the application of the players before and after De Zerbi has come in. Bentancur playing his best football for a long time. You're looking at Paulinho. Paulinho was a bench player pretty much under Igor Tudor, and even under Frank, he wasn't getting consistent starts. Paulinho, the goal against Wolves, the goal yesterday, and that performance at Villa Park as well. 3 top things for us that have really set himself apart to save us in this situation. You're looking at the uptick in form of Pedro Porro as well. Like Pedro Porro, every game he's been so vital to us. Mickey van de Ven, fighting for the team once again. Like, I don't think he's got enough, or maybe it's just because the quality of the player of the forward line. Maybe that's because of the quality. But you're looking at these players, Kevin Danso as well stepping up, Kinski stepping up, like all these players stepping up, which never would have happened if we wouldn't have made this change in manager. So like De Zerbi, I can all say about, Paulinho, Kinski and all these players have done it for us, but it's actually been De Zerbi. Like De Zerbi, I mean, I can't sing his praises enough. I feel like we've got the manager that we need now.
He saved us. No two ways about it. If it wasn't for De Zerbi, we would be playing in the Championship. I'm certain of that. The players would look devoid of confidence. They looked completely lost and they looked shot. They were getting battered from pillar to post by all the fans. They were the laughing stock of the Premier League. They were 14 games out of victory. There were no wins in 2026, even at home. We hadn't won at home since I think early December. Worst home form in the league. We had to wait till the last game of the season to get that home win, but better late than never, I think I say. But De Zerbi has done a phenomenal job, absolutely phenomenal, with the amount of time he's had, 7 games to come in and turn this ship around. You look at the total. West Ham actually did finish on 39 points, which means he came in on 30. He needed all those wins to stay in this division, obviously, and those couple of draws gave us a little bit of a buffer. But when considering we were no wins in 14 games, right? Or I think it got extended to 15 after the Sunderland game, 16, I think, even when after that Brighton game. That's like getting close to half a season without any wins. And you're looking at thinking, we've gone all these games without a win. Not only that, he lost Romero, he lost Javi, he lost Solanke. The situation even got even worse after he came into the club. Kudus as well was expected to be back, lost him. So all those situations that he's had to deal with. And then you're looking at it like, we need 3 wins to stay up. We need we need probably 9 or 10 points out of these last 7 games if we're going to have a chance of staying up. When I think in the past 14 games we've got something like 4 points. So how the hell? Everyone was like, this is an impossible job. We've brought him in too late. Great, we've got him in now, but it's too little, too late. But you know what? What did he keep saying in the press conference? Only losers cry. We can't. I don't want to think negatively. Anyone thinking negatively, I send them home. We can win 5 out of 5 games. I'm lucky to have these players. This guy's a Brazilian national. I've got one of the best youngsters in Europe. I've got all these incredible players at my disposal. He didn't dwell for 1 second about what he doesn't have. He was concentrating fully on what he does have and who can play. And it was an absolute masterstroke, and he just fueled belief in these players that we aren't back. We're not too good, not good enough. Sorry, it's not a situation where we're not good enough to get out of this situation. We're more than good enough. It's all about up here. It's all about how you approach the games. It's all about your mentality. And yes, even in those 7 games, there are rocky periods where we got shaky and we lost our way. But he always got us back in line every single time. And every game, he made it a fight. Even the 2 games we did lose, we lost very narrowly by a goal, still very, very close. The 2 games we drew, we probably should have won those games in hindsight. And obviously, we got 3 wins out of it as well. You look at the record he's got. I mean, it doesn't sound that impressive, 11 points in 7 games and 42% win rate. Off the back of, first of all, Tudor not winning a single game in 5. I think Frank had a 26% record. He had a 1.6 points per game, De Zerbi, in his 7 games. Now, it's a small sample size, but you extrapolate that over a whole season, that is 60 points. Now, 60 points isn't that impressive, but that's top 5 in this current division. So he had us in 7 games on top 5 form, basically. where we were hurtling towards relegation when he came in without a win in sight. Essentially, it's a miraculous job. I didn't see this coming. I didn't see him turning it around. But fair play to him. He's done a phenomenal job. And not only that, he's just given us a little bit of hope for the future. This club seemed to be going nowhere. This club, everyone had lost all faith about anything positive coming out of this club. We'd completely lost our way, not just from the results point of view, but also the kind of football we want to see at this football club. Our identity seemed to be stripped away from us this season when we were being subjected to Frank ball for a majority of it. And all of a sudden, De Zerbi's come in, and he's just given us a little bit of hope of maybe there is a bright future here. Under this manager, with some of these players, obviously there's going to be an overhaul this summer, but some of the players that are good enough to stay and some really good additions, maybe we can do something next season. And that's hard to think about after you finish 17th twice in a row, but if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have any hope.
I feel like he's completely united the fan base as well. Like, every Spurs fan has fallen in love with Roberto De Zerbi. And I don't remember the last Spurs manager that's actually done that. I know Ange had, he split the fan base. Thomas Frank obviously split the fan base. Igor Tudor did as well. Who's the last manager that's actually united a fan base? And it's such a... I know Ange probably did it in a short space of time because he won those first 10 games. But then it very quickly became very split. Obviously, De Zerbi's still got a long way to go, and he's got time for that to happen. But it does feel like the fan base is completely united over De Zerbi, and everyone just loves him.
And he speaks so well. I think even though he's like, English isn't the strongest, you listen to his press conferences and you feel 10 feet taller. Like, you feel that belief. Like, he speaks incredibly. He's full of passion. Like, the players seem to love it so much. They all speak so highly of him.
Every player I watch do an interview, their eyes and their face just lights up every time De Zerbi's mentioned. It's mad. Like, when Thomas Frank was mentioned, they didn't even want to look at the camera.
No, they're looking at the floor. They didn't buy into it whatsoever. They weren't having Frank at all, and that was from very early on. I don't know when Van de Ven did that interview. That was October, November time maybe. But you could tell even then the way he was speaking about Frank. I never thought he seemed excited about him. But you look now, and it's all changed. Everything's changed from the players, and that's massive. That's absolutely massive. And there has been a lot of problems this season, but I think the one thing we did right was just get De Zerbi in. I know we got him in too late. And
if we would have brought him in when Frank was sacked, we could have got Europe this 100%, season.
For sure. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. We all know the reasons why. And this board are a lot to answer for to get into. But De Zerbi coming in has flipped everything. And I don't even think we've seen 20% of the potential of what he can do on a football pitch. I think he's been basically managing this team with 2 hands, 2 feet, bound and gagged probably, trying to get results in the situation where every single week he's losing another player and another player and another player. And not just any player, first team starters. Javi has a great game and then he goes. Solanke just comes back into the team and then he goes. Romero, Kudus. Every time it's like the most important player and they're the one going. Vicario even, we didn't mention him, but he went as well. He had a hernia operation just after De Zerbi came in. So every step of the way, it's not been easy whatsoever. It's been harder and harder and harder of every step. Yet he's just made it work, and he's got on the results and the wins that are needed. And it wasn't an easy pathway. As I said, West Ham have been relegated with record points for the last 15 years. So this isn't a situation where he just needed 1 win and that was enough. He needed 9 points at the end of the day of the 7 games to get us over the line, and that just seemed miles away when he first came. I thought no chance we're going to get 9 points. How are we going to get 3 wins? We haven't won in 14 games. Now we need 3 and 7. How is that going to happen? But he managed to do it, and he managed to do it in a way where we could even had more points. Probably we're probably seeing it. The only thing that you're thinking, we didn't stay up luckily. We stayed up with probably unluckily that we didn't get more points. That's how he did it.
Agreed.
And that is quality management. That is the difference a coach can make. You can talk about the players and all this kind of stuff, and that conversation needs to be had. But coaching, it shows how much of a difference it makes.
You know what? You could see on the pitch how much the coaching has made a massive impact just in the way we pass the ball. But you're talking about man management style as well. Like, his man management has got these players on side like straight away. So, like I said, I can't credit De Zerbi enough.